got a terrible phone call in the middle of the day at work, and it was from my son's doctor. And he said to me, well, I think it would be best if you just went home. And so I'm completely caught off guard, and I'm like, well, what do you mean go home? And he says, well, your son is gonna need full-time care. He's not gonna read, he's not gonna write, and he's probably not gonna do basic math or any of the normal things that we think normal kids would do. And the word normal really stuck with me for a really long time, because what is normal today? Normal is not what we typically think it would be. And so I took his advice, and I sat in my car for about a good 4 hours, and all I could do was cry because my son had a diagnosis of autism. And I just thought that my son wasn't gonna talk to me. So that 4 hours turned into 5 years. And at some point at the end of the 5 years, in order to teach him how to read and write and do basic math, I decided that I was gonna give him a token economy because he liked to eat and he liked things. However, because I'm not working, I can't afford them. And so I made a list of things that I put on my kitchen wall, and I said to him, if you want this, you have to talk to me. And I had little Monopoly money because at the time it was all that I could afford. So in this Monopoly money, right, he's learning to talk to me. He's learning to read about the things that he wants, and he's able to now do them on his own. And so one of the things that I did was I would teach him how to make old school recipes. And I said to myself, well, what happens if he's making them on his own? And so my church at the time was incredibly supportive, and they said, Missy, this is excellent. You should sell these things. And I said, I don't really have time. I'm really consumed with my son, and that's really the only thing that I have time for at this moment. And they said, well, why don't you get a table and sit outside the church, and then, if it goes well, you just stay there. And so I did, because it was the only way that I could generate money for him to do some of the things that he wanted. Because everything that I had in savings was gone. Everything that I had in my pocket was lent at that point. And so there was nothing left. So the church liked it so much, and the community would come from everywhere. And someone said to me, well, you should turn this into a business. And I said, well, I don't really have time for that. The only thing that I really have time for is my son. And so then I started to Google, what do I know about a business? I'm in the middle of Homewood, and I'm on a corner with a table, and I sell applesauce, apple butter, and pound cake. That's not enough to turn it into a business and really sustain anything other than an idea. But then I started to Google, and I Googled some more, and I Googled some more. And so what does it take to start a food business? And there are bunches of things that I don't understand. So where can I learn these things? Well, you can go to culinary school and you can learn those things. Well, I can't afford that. And so as the more I Googled, I stumbled across a thing where it says free culinary programs. And I'm like, well, what is that about? And so I was excited, right? Because it's free, and I can do free, right? I don't know how I'm gonna get there because I can't put gas in my car, but I can go to free. I'm gonna make it. And the first program didn't call me. And the second program didn't call me. And then I called the third, and I left a message. And I was incredibly disappointed because they didn't answer. But somebody called me back. And so when they called me back, they said, well, why don't you just come? And I said, well, I don't know if I'm gonna get there. And they said, well, don't worry about it. Make it when you can. And so then I went to Community Kitchen, and here's what I learned. I learned how to sustain myself. And so what came from Community Kitchen was, I am the first chef at Pittsburgh Public Schools that has 4 programs underneath them. I have production, which is anywhere from 4,000 to 7,000 meals per day. I have, when it's a district item, 20,000 meals. So all those kids belong to me. I run their catering and manage it. I'm also in the Chef and Fellowship. So I travel the country teaching and learning, and how do we turn these meals into sustainable things that help our kids be healthier, be better, and more agile every day, remove stigma, and give them all the same table, right? So one of the questions that the presenters asked me to answer in this forum was, how am I going to use my past to influence my future? Well, I look behind me and I see the word inspire. And the thing that I have to start with first is the I. Because I have to make a commitment to be in it, right? And then if I'm in it, then I can inspire. So the thing that I want to tell you is that it can be done. It can be done from anywhere. And all you've got to do is give someone an opportunity, because that someone might be me, and they might learn, and then they may be able to influence every single child in every public school in our district and travel the country and do it. It can be done. And then here's what you have to do to follow up. You have to teach as you've been taught. You have to give as you've been given. And you have to lead as you've been led. Thank you.